This is TNT Sports' Adam Summerton, and you're listening to Three Fish on the Shirt.
This is John Sander. You're listening to Three Fish on the Shirt.
Hello, welcome to this week's Three Fish on the Shirt. We've got a couple of games to cover off this week, but thank you very much for joining us and thank you for your continued support. We're seeing some really good figures on the audience figures, so we really appreciate you joining us. So please make sure you keep doing so and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you can. It helps us reach even more people. So good morning, Steve Risley. Welcome.
Good morning, Sunday morning
after Morecambe, which was a nice 3-1 victory. But we've got to rewind back a little bit in the week and cover off the Crewe game first. Probably least said the better, but there's a few sorts of bits of interest in there. First things first, the absence of Danny Rose or any of our strikers, first of all.
Yeah, I think injuries caught up with us on Tuesday night with Danny Rose out with suspected concussion from the Colchester game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he was out, although he was there training.
Yeah.
He was out on the pitch, wasn't he? But
well, I was surprised because within 2 minutes of hearing that news, when I got to the ground, it was he was there. He was in front of me, sort of training, and I thought, oh, okay. I thought you were out, mate.
Yeah, because you took a picture of him, I think, didn't you?
It looked all right to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he had restrictions on what he could do, didn't he?
I think it was no more than so much heart rate, no more than 40 minutes, not able to head a ball. But obviously he wanted to stay involved, didn't he? So it's
he's there as a captain.
Sign of a good captain, and I think he's a good influence since he ran the place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we missed him, and we just thought we was on the back foot a little bit, and Crewe were just trying every dirty trick in the book for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of S-housery going on, wasn't there? In terms of what they were up to. Our mate, Mr. Lancaster, was at it all night, wasn't he?
Yeah, going down. He was going down so easy. And Ryan Bennett, because I watched it. And Ryan Bennett in the commentary was saying he's come up against him before. And he goes down quite easily.
Yeah.
So he was doing.
Yeah. And I think overall, I thought the first half it wasn't a bad game. We'd had that defensive lapse for the goal. It was a bit poor, wasn't it? Really, the defending.
I should have done better on the edge of the area for it.
Usually reliable. Doug Farm was sort of missed a header. I think didn't we say
on the edge of the penalty area? Yeah, I thought he could have won that. And then the guy Dimitri, I think it was, who won it,
got it back in.
and then it landed in the box, and then they just put it away. Yeah, it was a bit soft goal, really.
At the ground, I was like, "Has he not offside? Has he stood there and onside?" But yeah, looking back on it, I mean, a text just asked straight away to say, "Is he offside or what?"
And I said no, it was onside.
Yeah,
he was onside, but that was from a corner, I think. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, but yeah, so it was all fairly even, not a bad game. Ref was doing okay, and then in the second half, the game just went a bit to pot, didn't it? As a game, generally, not just Town, although we didn't really play that well in the second half.
It didn't look like we we're going to get anything out of it. It's one of them games. The referee,
yeah,
sort of didn't help with it. But
I don't think it was. I don't think it was necessarily his fault we lost. It was shit for everybody, wasn't he? But it was bizarre the way he was carrying on.
Yeah, well, he was all right to start with. I think I texted you, said ref's all right, and then
I have the evidence. Ref okay, ref shit. Within
ref
about
shit.
2 minutes of each other. But no, he came up with some proper weird decisions. There was like innocuous players running side by side. One of them falls over. It's a free kick.
Yeah.
Somebody cuts somebody in half. Nothing. You know, and you're thinking, wow. I didn't really get head around it.
Yeah, I think there was that throw in, went straight in.
Yeah.
Nobody touching it,
that was an odd one because that took them about 5 minutes to work out, and yet there's two of them, and it's a binary decision. It either touched somebody or it didn't, and they've either seen it or they haven't. So they've got to come to a decision. Did we see it hit someone? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I don't know how 5 minutes of discussion helps that decision.
No, I don't know. It's never. I mean, Crewe are going to appeal for the goal. Are going to celebrate the goal, aren't they?
Yeah, and Town are going to say no, didn't touch anybody.
Yeah, but it was right. I don't think Jordan Wright sort of did out to start with appealing, but all of a sudden all the Town players were around me,
and they were adamant as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
So Dimitri afterwards, and he said that he was okay with it. It didn't sound like he was in dispute with it. And him, by the way, interestingly, should have not even been on the pitch at half time. He should have been off.
No, he should have been sent off for a second yellow. Was it?
The bar that the referee set for giving a yellow card was so low in some cases that foul he did, I think it was on McEachran or was it on Jaden Luca? Just took him out, and it was already on a yellow, and we're all going, he's been booked. And I think that's why he didn't book him, because he'd already been booked and he bottled it. And that was really
he's given plenty of cards out, though, wasn't
he? Yeah, and that was the start of it and going to pot. Then there was the whole throw in and all the rest of it. And then just to top the cherry on the cake, Dimitri pops up in the second minute of injury time to score when he shouldn't arguably have been on the pitch. So
that's sickening.
I think so. That's water under the bridge. It would have been a great clearing of blue water between us and 7th, 8th, wouldn't it? But it wasn't to be, which I guess shows the importance of the Colchester result the week before.
That was a massive result. That if we got a draw at Crewe, there'd have been 3. What would have been? We're 4 points clear of them now.
Yeah.
After the results yesterday. So
there's swings every week. I think that's the thing. We probably don't need to take individual results too hard, because everybody's going to have a bit of a wobble, as we'll see when we talk about the table later on.
Yeah.
So bit of a weird game, bit disappointing. I think after the game there was no sort of, although Artel said the ref was rubbish, he was pretty much we weren't at it, below our standards. We go again, and it probably just made yesterday's game a little bit more important in terms of us wanting to stay in the playoffs.
Yeah, it made yesterday's game a big win, massive win. But the Tuesday night game, it was both goals were like from set pieces, weren't they? Again, corners.
Yeah,
and and we can't. They
That,
don't
that,
score great goals against us.
that was the biggest disappointment, wasn't it, for him on Tuesday? I think in terms of the way we conceded.
Yeah.
So going into yesterday with a couple of early kickoffs, Cheltenham and Doncaster, Walsall and Port Vale, both important to that top 7 ecosystem. And obviously we were sat in the fan zone keeping an eye on that result. And going into the game, there was 1 minute Walsall were winning 2-1. The next minute they're 3-2 down at half time. And that's how their game finished. So they dropped to second and Port Vale replaced them. Doncaster scored 2 in the last minute to seek what looks like a comfortable victory, but it was 0-0 till the 90th.
It was 0-0 to the 89th minute.
89th minute, yes. Sterry and Street got their goals. So that meant there was a couple of the top 7 that had already won, but Walsall looking like they're desperately trying to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just they were, whatever they were, at top of the league 2-3 months ago. What was that, 15 points clear?
Yeah.
And now they're third in the league.
I don't know if
hanging on.
I don't know if it's right, but I saw a stat that said they'd won or drawn 8 out of the last 15, or something like that, and lost 5 and won 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I know. The last 6 they'd drawn 5 and lost 1 against us.
Yeah, and so that's 2
So
now, isn't it, in the 6? So
yeah, so they haven't won in 7 now, which is
crazy, isn't it?
But yeah, and I was just saying, Doncaster have got a game in hand as well on them.
Yeah,
which could put them in out of the top 3.
Yeah,
so,
and that must be particularly heartbreaking for them, given that they were 12 points clear, and that was not 12 points clear of us. That was 12 points clear of their next nearest rival, wasn't
second place, yeah.
And now they're third with they're only 7 points clear of us.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's just we're just tantalising. We're not quite close enough, I don't think, for the top 3, but 7 points. But you never know, do you?
No.
They keep Walsall and that. Man, you need more than Walsall to keep dropping points.
Yeah, we need all of them to sort of start slipping up, but it's not impossible. And
I'll say it's different to last season's table when, say, Mansfield finished 3rd, and they had 86 points.
Yeah, it is going to be a bit like that, isn't it? But like I say, there's still some quite tasty fixtures to come, I think, and that's going to upset the apple cart potentially. The good news is we had a decent result when we had one of ours against Colchester, didn't we? So, but we'll come back to the state of the table and that after the rest of the results. So we went in to the match with some news that Danny Rose was back, which was a big boost. We saw Chori coming in and Burns coming in for Svan Thorsen and Judge McEachran. We kind of wondered if that was a bit of a ploy to give him a bit of a rest, knowing there's going to be 5 more tough games coming up afterwards. And I think that was proven to be right when they heard Artel talk after the game. Kicked off. It was a okay game. We got going quite well, and then I thought the game turned scrappy.
Yeah, it did that, but we got the goal, didn't we? And then I thought the atmosphere was a lot better yesterday.
Was good, down to the fact we weren't ages getting on the score sheet. The only thing that flattened it was Dallas's equaliser 5 minutes later. But we kind of sort of managed ourselves to half time after that. But I didn't really feel they were that threatening, other than that goal. It was a bit of a snapshot. I actually thought it was really, really poor defending at the time. But it was kind of a ball from midfield, and he was on the edge of the box, and he just took a chance with it, and it wasn't as on his own as I thought he was. Actually,
well, they weren't getting anywhere near our goal.
No.
They were just, but it was we weren't. I didn't think we were moving the ball quick enough. We were just a bit laboured, and after we scored, I thought we were going to step up a bit and move, but we just weren't moving the ball quick enough, and we weren't.
Yeah, we were ponderous, and I think. Again, listening to the aftermatch, it was very much, we're better than this, lads, at half time, wasn't
it? Yeah, that's it. And then and he obviously made the change, didn't he?
Yeah. Churi had managed to get himself booked, didn't he? And he wasn't impressed himself with his own performance by the sounds of it. But as Artel said, it's not going to define him. You've just got to look at Svan Thorsen, haven't you, now, how he's sort of adapted and overcome. But I think it's a good thing blooding him, because he's getting it into his system, and
Yeah, he did. He did all right. He had a few good touches, but
Yeah.
he's not in McEachran's class at the minute.
No.
So
and George came on and made a massive difference, didn't he? Straight
oh,
away.
he's just got his foot in. He was getting the ball, moving it. He's different. I can't believe how good he is. McEachran
It's
is.
unbelievable, isn't it?
To think he was in the World Cup winning team, the under 17, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
With Hudson-Odoi and all them. It's a
Yeah.
shame he's not higher up in the leagues. But
Makes you wonder why Swindon let him go, but hey ho, we'll take it.
oh, so, but he made a massive difference.
He did, and within a few minutes, we're faffing with it on the edge of the box, running the ball right across the edge of the box, and everybody's sort of chuntering, where's he going now? Well, goal.
Yeah.
But what a finish. What a finish.
Oh, Barrington. Yeah, Hume ran right across the goal, didn't he?
Hume, you normally seen Hume run from left to right rather than right to left. He found himself on the edge of the box in that sort of area. And he just rolled the ball sideways, and Barrington, who's quite prone to having a dribble and a run into other players or around other players, just decided to go for it and bang. And what an effort!
If you watched it, the ball that came when Hume passed to him, it bobbled. It wobbled up a little bit, and his first touch just took it across him, and it still bobbled a little bit. And I think it helped him.
Sat up for him, didn't it?
It sat up lovely for him, but he controlled it. But the ball was bobbling quite a bit, and he managed to just sat up. And when he hit it, I didn't think it. I thought, oh, it's not. I thought keeper's going to save that, but it just seemed to accelerate away into the back of the net.
I think it was so well struck, wasn't it? I think that was
it picked up speed. I think it was still going faster.
When you look at it, when you look at his sort of body mechanics when he hit it, it's quite sort of an unusual style the way he hit it. He didn't.
It was a bit,
sort of backlift. It was just like bang, and he put his whole body into it, sort of thing. And
but it was shifting when it in the back of the net. It was still accelerating.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. It's funny because sometimes when you see goals on TV, you don't really appreciate how quick they are. I think we did yesterday because it was right in front of us. But there was that guy last week, Newport, the guy who Wright saved from number 8, and he hit that one from the edge of the box, and it was absolutely travelling when Jordan Wright made that save, wasn't he?
That was shifting. I think that's one of the differences between these lower leagues and the Premier League. When they hit a ball in the Premier League, you see them, and they stay hit, don't they? Some of them, like proper.
And every now and again in this league, you get it as well. But yesterday, that one was definitely one that stayed hit.
You get a lot of soft shots in our league. You think, oh, we could have done better there, but that's why they're in our league, I guess.
Yeah. So one thing we did do, we sort of glossed over Greeny's goal, so we got the goal in the first half. So the corner short again looked like it had sort of been mishit or something, but it sounds like it was a bit of a training ground routine, a flick on by Barrington for Green, and he made sure with his header again, it was nobody anywhere near it when it was going in. It was looked like he knew what he was doing. What I'm saying.
The second goal was the Barrington flick on, wasn't it? In front
was
of the
it?
pontoon. Yeah.
Sorry,
the first goal was
that was straight. That was straight to Green, was it?
First goal was Hume corner straight to Green, and he.
Sorry, when you mentioned it earlier, I thought you'd seen something I hadn't. Apologies.
No, it was the one in front of the pontoon. It was a flick on.
Sorry, I misunderstood you when we were talking beforehand. I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought
it's Van Thorsen.
Something.
Yeah, it was a tiny flick on by Barrington, and
that's right. Yeah, I'm with you now.
And Greeny slotted it in for his second goal.
Yeah, but to say his first goal was a great header, wasn't it? I mean, it was
great header. Yeah. I mean, we're at the other end of the ground, aren't we? But it's hard to see it. But it was a training ground routine. That.
Well, the placement.
I thought he missed it. I thought the corner was missed it at first. But
the placement of the header though, nobody's getting that, are they? Keeper, no one.
No.
And that's often the point. And that David Artell made the point at the fans forum a few weeks ago. Most corners are stood at the near post. Says it can be frustrating if it hits the near man, but or they get it clear. But if you get it right, it's got more chance of going in.
Think about it. How many corners do you see go over too far and then they get headed out? Or
Crewe on Friday night, Tuesday night. Sorry.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, there's one. But no, statistically, you're more likely to get one at the near post. And you think about it, it's probably easier to plan for and prepare for the one that goes far post and try and get away from it. But that near post flick is you've almost no chance of dealing with it after it's been struck.
If you can get your header on it or flick on or something, and then it's moving into the penalty area, into the right in front of the goal at pace, then just it either gets another flick, another touch, or it goes straight in.
Yeah. So then at 2-1, we're kind of baying for the third, and there was never any doubt in the result, even at 2-1, I don't think. But with Town, you're always worried at 1 goal in front, aren't you, that a slip up or something's going to lead to an equaliser. I'm saying, although it didn't look like it, it was lovely to get that third goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice to get 3. Nice to get 3 goals for a change.
So nice ball in, and say Barrington just got the faintest of flicks on it for Green, and he was ready for it, and he just stuck it straight in the net, didn't
he? Yeah, Greeny was. McEachran was fantastic second, but Greeny did all the running, as did Rose. Rose is so important.
He's very influential, isn't he? And I think he helps.
Just pulls.
I think he helps others on the field, doesn't he, as well?
Just gets a free kick and pulls. He's focused. People focus on him. Gives space for all the other players to move. It's so important to keep him fit for the next 5 games.
Yeah, and he's good at picking the ball up and laying it off and all sorts, isn't he? And bringing other players into play, and he's a nuisance wherever he is on the pitch. And he defends well as well, to be fair.
Yeah,
corners and what he gets up higher than anyone, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he gets lower than most people as well on the ground.
Oh yeah, when he comes off with his mucky shirt,
mucky shirt, yeah. I was just looking at the sort of just changing it. There was no Luca wasn't on the bench yesterday, was he?
No, he's gone back to Luke, and he's got an injury. He's got a fascial injury, and when David Otto was asked what it was, he said it a leg, but fascia, the plantar fascia, is the underneath sheet under the foot. So I don't know if it's that, but it's
amazing. We've got all these you hear about all these new injuries now that you've never heard of before.
Yeah, like probably properly named when they never were. They just used to say, "Oh, he's got a foot injury," and it's
like metatarsal, wasn't it? When David Beckham, 20 years, whatever it was, and it was like, "What's that?"
Yeah. But I think we get more of the medical names now, don't we, than we used to? It's foot injury, calf injury, knee injury. Now we get
hamstring,
medial ligament. Don't we? We get all sorts. Gluteus maximus injury.
What Danny Rose has got? He's got his what's it called? That thing across the middle.
Pubis. Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah. So we get all that, and I think that's probably the other thing. Somebody had said before the game yesterday about it's really harsh on Warren, and I think on one level I agree, but I didn't see that even if he was dropped tactically, that it was a punishment. I think we're going to need everybody. McJanet's back again. Why would you not have them 3 centre halves as your back 3, and not worry too much about having Warren in? But he'd felt a hamstring tweak as well in the week, so that was the reason he was on the bench.
Yeah,
it was all right. It turned out, but it wasn't.
It's all about using next 5 games, isn't it? Using all your players, and there might be more games.
Yeah, and Artel also said about the changes to Swan Thorson and McEachran beforehand. He said he asked George how he was on Thursday, Friday, or whatever, and George said, "I'm a bit drained, boss, to be honest."
Did he? Yeah.
And he said, "I appreciate that honesty." And he said, "Just been able to give him, half off sort of thing." But that might be important next week.
Yeah, and what Dave Moore thinks of that.
Yeah, we know what Dave Moore thinks of that because we asked him last week.
We do know. See previous episodes.
Yeah. So 3-1. Greeny. The way he walked off the pitch yesterday, you can see he was absolutely spent. And in fairness, that's pretty standard for Greeny, isn't it? He's always absolutely knackered when he goes off.
He leaves it all on the pitch, Greeny, doesn't he? He makes them little. He made a run yesterday, probably more than one, and he goes for it, and then he checks, and then he goes again, and then the player fouls him, and he gets a free kick. And gets you there.
And sometimes just that burst of just running causes enough chaos, doesn't it? I mean, the couple of goals against Morecambe, he did the same thing, running the ball through the middle. Against Bradford, he ran nearly the full length of the pitch to then square the ball to Swan Thorson. the Cheltenham goal where Vernon scored that worldie, he'd run the length of the pitch. So you got them running back towards the goal, which again is well documented that Dave Artell says, get them running towards their own goal. They don't like it.
Absolutely.
And another thing that's important about that, it doesn't require him to be the best technical player, because if you remember that goal, his pass to Vernon was bloody awful, but it didn't matter because the play was that broken up.
Yes.
It got to Vernon by hook or by crook. It didn't matter. It didn't have to be pinpoint on his toes. And I think that's great way that he's spotted the way to use him, because he'll never be George McEachran, will he? I mean, let's be honest, even Greeny would tell you that.
But, he got carried away yesterday when he did a little Perlo turn.
Yeah.
And then he outside of his foot.
Yeah, give it to one of their players. Greeny's rebirth is rather like Luke Waterfall, where kind of if you'd have asked anybody at the start of the season, they'd have been saying, move him on. And then he was like player of the season almost.
Yeah, that's absolutely,
and Greeny's the same, isn't he? At the close season, you probably say, if we're in League Two, we don't need a Greeny, we need somebody else.
That's right.
But because of the re-engineering of him, we've worked out well. And as has been said on many occasions, and I made the point at the fanzine, is giving players the freedom to do what they're good at and giving him a role is really positive, because even for a player like Greeny, where he'll never be Perlo, like you say, but his effort level's always there. And one thing at Town, we've always loved a player that's wholehearted, haven't we?
Yes.
You take, we've had strikers that haven't been the most prolific, but because they're wholehearted, and you can see they wear the heart on the sleeve and they're playing for the town and all the rest of it. Steve Livo comes to mind. Not the most prolific striker, but hard-working, prepared to put other people in, and just all good stuff.
Yeah, he said that in his interview, didn't he, Greeny? There was a little interview with him saying that he's having his best season he's probably ever had, and and he loves it. The crowd here just love people who put the effort in, and the crowd it's great. One of the best atmospheres he's played in when the crowd are up, and it is. And it was like loud yesterday, and it's just players putting the effort in it. Rosie and Greeny, and then we've got technical players that can provide a bit more. Technicals, McEachran and Svan Thorson and Jury.
So I thought again that back three works lovely, doesn't it, in terms of the flexibility?
It's
Rogers, McJanet come back and looked like he'd never missed a beat, didn't he?
He's a real good player, McJanet.
Yeah, I mean, so you think I don't know what his injury was directly, but it was not as serious as first thought, which was a good thing. But he'd played something like 80 games, hadn't he, coming straight out of the Irish season? So that's a tall order for anybody, isn't it?
That's right. But a lot of players have played. It is a tall order, yeah. Look, as he said, Curry, Evan Curry's been involved in every game this season.
Yeah.
As I was reading in the Telegraph, and he not started them all, but he started a lot.
He's been involved.
He started a lot of games, so he's no wonder they're getting the feeling a bit knackered. But they didn't look too tired yesterday.
No,
I didn't think.
And then Churi, all right, had a half, got half in his legs, did some good things. And as I said, one of the features as he plays, don't give the ball away much, and he didn't, apart from on a couple of occasions. I think maybe once leading up to the goal, but we tracked their goal back to an earlier section of playing out from the back that didn't work out. We never really got out, did we?
No, and they let, because Jordan Wright, we weren't sure who's going to take the goal kick.
Yeah, he went to the right, left it to Tharm in the middle. He went left with it, and then we kind of run down a bit of a dark alley to the halfway line.
Jordan Wright sort of went, thought, am I taking it? No, I'm not taking it. And then before we knew it, they got the ball back. And
like the Chuckle Brothers, wasn't it? To me, to you.
Yeah, it was a bit. I don't know what was going on there. I had to look at that.
Yeah. And so other than that, back four, back five, brilliant. So your midfield, Greeny as always was Greeny, wasn't he? Did his job. Yeah. Out on the left, who was that on the left yesterday? You got Hume.
Was Burns? Darragh Burns.
Burns was right mainly, wasn't he?
On the right, yeah, and then Spans. Was Hume, wasn't it? Hume's on the left.
Hume's pushing out on the left, isn't he? So,
Burns on the right. Burns didn't. I'll just say he didn't really, for me, didn't take players on as much as he should could have done.
That's what he comes rated for, isn't it?
Yeah, and he didn't. He came inside a lot.
Yeah, and again, it's probably not easy coming in and not having played many games, and he's still feeling his way in. I think he'll probably be all right, but
I think he's one for next season.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Geezer.
I think he thought it was a good game to bring him on to rest the others, and probably a game that they were good enough to sort of take on Morecambe, and he still had the other options on the bench, which he brought on.
It's quite good that we can actually do that at this stage of the season.
Especially with the number of injuries we've got, but we are fairly well stocked with midfielders, aren't we? It's up front.
Yes.
It's up front. We're like, and just on that, Rose did great yesterday, as did Barrington, and when you think about it, you look at the strikers at the club. If you include loanees as well, and outgoing loanees. Yeah, we've got a Bikwu injured. You've got Wilson injured. And I mean, that's just, I thought that was his double-barreled name, to be honest. Wilson injured. Pike, where's Pike? Don't tell him Pike.
Don't know where he's gone.
Went off to Eastleigh, didn't he? I don't know if he's playing injured or what, but he went off after 16 minutes of his debut. Yeah.
Eastleigh, isn't that the village where the Dad's Army was?
No, it was Warmington on Sea, wasn't it?
Warmington, sorry, yeah. Maybe that's where Wilson is with him.
Yeah, and then you've got, even down to the young lads, Cam Gardner injured, and somebody mentioned again, one of the fans forum things, well, what about Grayson Giles? He's been banging him in for the young'uns, injured. So it really is as bad a crisis as it could have been, at least Tuesday night when Rose was out. But Rose was back and played his typical Danny Rose performance, and he's appreciative of the fans as well. And you can see at the end, he always stays and applauds the team, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. They got the chance for Greeny. Green. Even the announcer on the Tanno was calling him Greeny Kieran Green.
Yeah, Greeny Kieran Green.
And Danny Rose, obviously, Danny Rose. But yeah. So who would have known if he's played against Crewe, Rose, we might have done a lot better.
Yeah. So looking elsewhere. So after that great performance, Sven Thorson came on as well, didn't he? And did okay. He appreciated the break.
And one we did miss at the start of the game was Vernon.
Yeah, Vernon was back on the bench. That was positive. And Dave Artell says there's nobody who works harder than him when he's injured. As a pro, he's never seen anybody work so hard.
So whether he's fully fit or not, or he's on
I mean, they must have to be careful with him because of what's happened. But again, he could be valuable in the last few games, couldn't he?
If he's got some sort of level of fitness, and just don't want to get him injured.
Yeah, that was good news as well. I've forgotten about Vernon being injured because he's been out for that long, on and off.
Yeah, he just popped up on the bench.
On the list of people that were injured. So coming back to yesterday's games, there's one early game I missed, which is probably more helpful to the teams at the bottom. Morecambe were looking for Chesterfield to do them a favour at Tranmere, and we were looking for Tranmere to do us a little bit of a favour against Chesterfield, as it turns out, because Chesterfield have been coming up on the rails a little bit. They've got a game in hand as well, which would have seen them probably a point behind us had they won yesterday and that game in hand. And Tranmere handed them their arse on a plate, 4-0 trouncing, which is something of a, what have you done with the real Tranmere Rovers, please?
Yeah, where did that Tranmere team come from?
Yeah, absolutely. 0-0 at half time and absolutely trounced them. A couple of goals in the second half and then too late on. But I again saw Paul Cook's interview at the end, and he was kind of disgusted with the second half performance, apologising to the fans and all that sort of stuff. Just shame somebody he couldn't have done that here.
Absolutely. I mean, if they've got a big budget, so if they don't make the playoffs, which they probably won't, hopefully they won't, then I don't know if his job's going to be on the line. Really.
And sadly, their owner's been diagnosed with terminal cancer as well, which is
right. Yeah, that's terrible.
Terrible
news, isn't it?
Yeah. So
sad news.
Thoughts are with all concern there. But looking at the rest of the results, so first one of the top six ecosystem. Wimbledon 1, Harrogate 0. That was quite tight. Was hoping for a draw. We were looking at the scores, seeing 0-0 most of the afternoon. But Wimbledon managed to get a win there. Bradford 2, Crewe 0. Bradford scored after 11 seconds. Bobby Poynton. So that was a good from the start, and Crewe never got back into that. So that's helpful to us to leave that 4-point gap behind us. Bromley 4, Accrington 0, which had no bearing on us, but interestingly puts Accrington just above the line at the bottom. Carlisle 3, Newport 2. So Carlisle getting a win at last. Probably too little, too late. They're still looking pretty in a pretty dire spot, aren't they? We'll come back to the table.
They are, but
come back to the table in a sec. Colchester beat Notts County. That was a disappointment because whenever I look at Notts County's fixtures and I want them to lose to help us out, to go and win. And when the day I want them to win and they've gone out. But the positive to that is it keeps us closer to them. So there's that as a sort of a second prize sort of thing. Fleetwood 0, Swindon 4. That was a bit of a surprise. But Fleetwood have been a really hit and miss side this season, haven't they?
They have, yeah. They've never know what they're going to do.
Obviously, there was us beating Morecambe to cement that 7th place for now. MK Dons 0, Barrow 3. Well, their season's just fell off a cliff, hasn't it? MK Dons.
They've just gone, haven't they?
And Salford 2, Gillingham 2, which it was 2-2 after half an hour, I think. So it dried up after the first half hour, that one. And Salford were another team who potentially could have got involved, but so that leaves us now in 7th on 65 points, 3 points clear of Colchester. Beg your pardon, I said 4 a minute ago. And Crewe 4 points behind us. Chesterfield, 7 points behind us. And then at the bottom you've got Morecambe 6 points from safety, and it's Accrington they're chasing down now, and Tranmere are now 7 points clear at the bottom. At the top you've got Bradford top after Port Vale went top. That's the 5th opportunity Bradford have had to go top when Walsall failed, and it's the first time they've taken it. So that was interesting. I had a quick chat with some of their podcast people in the week about it, and they were really downbeat. I was amazed.
Who's that? Walsall?
Bradford fans.
Oh, Bradford.
I was amazed at how downbeat. You think town fans are gloomy. Team vying for top spot, and I've never heard such moaning. So we're not alone. It's a football fan thing. Port Vale in second. Walsall, as I said earlier, desperately trying to get in the playoffs, and they're only 2 points away from it now. And Doncaster have got a game in hand. So as you pointed out earlier on, so it's really tight.
The team at the top changed 3 times yesterday, didn't it? Because Walsall were top, then Port Vale went top.
Correct. And then
Bradford are top.
Bradford are top by 6 goals and goal difference. And then you've got Doncaster on 70 in the first playoff spot. Wimbledon 68, Notts County 68, and us on 65. So had Notts got a point or one, they'd have been above Wimbledon. But so that it keeps it tight in that middle of the playoffs, and hopefully it gives us a bit of something to aim at to seal it up a bit. So,
that does that Colchester wins could be the game, if depending on how we do the next 5 games, but that game's put us in pole position to get that 7th place.
So looking at our last 14 games, won 8, drawn 3, lost 3, scored 20, conceded 14, 27 points. That's really just shy of 2 points a game, isn't it?
Yes, so we can keep that up.
Decent form.
We get 10 points for the next 5 games, then.
And the other thing about that, as a form sort of readout, is that those 3 defeats have come pretty much in the last 4 or 5 games, haven't they? So our 6 game form isn't that great, but it's not terrible. It's sort of mid-table. But if we can get back to winning ways, it just shows you how buoyant we could be.
That's right, and the still got negative goal difference.
Yeah, look, vying to be the first ever team to be promoted with a negative goal difference. That's not lost on many of the town fans. But 20 wins. I mean, who'd have predicted that at the start of the season? There's only one team won more than that, and that's Bradford.
Bradford, yeah.
So Port Vale, Walsall, and Donny have all won 20. It's just that we've either won or lost. Generally, we've only drawn 5, so we've But that's what's got us up there. Those wins, hasn't it? So
it's the wins and the lack of draws.
And we know from David Artell's particularly 2 games that I remember: Carlisle away and Notts County at home. Carlisle away, we get the equaliser with about 8 minutes to go, and he says to Sean Pearson, "We're going to go for it now, not shut up shop." I'd sooner lose than, or I'd sooner draw or lose than and try winning than not try. And Notts County at 1-0 down, he said, I'd rather go for it and try and get a draw and lose 2-0. So that damages your goal difference. But we must have picked up more points through going for it than
by going for it. Yeah. Rather than just.
Overall, I think decent spot. Plenty of wins. Starting to get some of the entertainment back, but again, you shorten the form to the last 4 games, and we've won 3 out of the last 4. So, it's not that it's not that bad at all, is it?
Yeah, it's been a crazy season, really, when you think about where we was last year. Unbelievable
roller coaster. But again, looking at the form table in the BBC one, they have the little 6 indicators. There's the top 6 is littered with defeats for the top 6-7 teams. It's absolutely unbelievable. In fact, the other night when I checked, there was the only team that hadn't lost in the last 6, and it turned round on Tuesdays. It turns out was Tranmere. They were the only unbeaten side in 6.
Crikey!
And they were 3rd from bottom.
That's it. That's why the points totals are all bunched up, isn't it?
Exactly.
They're all bunched. There's nobody. Look at Bradford. The top of the league was 73. You normally top of the league is 80 odd by now.
Yeah.
80.
Interestingly, my little calculation that I do for tracking where I think we'll be, the peak of it has been sort of 73, 74 points, and the current indicator is giving about 73 points.
Yeah.
As the final total. So fingers crossed. I think that might well get us in 73.
73, yeah. I was just looking at League One. Just quick look at them. Birmingham, they've got 92 points.
Yeah.
Top. Wrexham 81, so they're a lot higher points total.
Yeah.
In those leagues.
Yeah.
So you think what 70
73.
73.
That's my little calculator, and it's nothing sophisticated. It's just a kind of if we carry on at average points collection, which is about, I think it's about 1.6 points per game at this stage. We'll get 73, but
who knows what that Wimbledon game is going to be like at the end of the season? The last game.
I mean, if there's something to play for, bloody hell, it's going to be a humdinger, isn't it?
Might be like us 2 points behind them or whatever, to leapfrog them.
It might even just decide who we end up playing in the playoffs. If we're both still in there, it might be, if there's a decent enough space to 8, it could be just who plays who in the playoffs. But if it's to get in the playoffs, it'll be the biggest game at Blundell Park for a lot of years.
Yeah. Well, the playoffs in 22 when we got promoted to Wrexham, we played them all away, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's just how it felt, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's because of the odd system in the National League where the top team out of the playoffs automatically get home draw in the semi-final, aren't they? They're already in, aren't they? And it's so we already knew when the Notts County game was on that we were playing for the right to play away at Wrexham.
That's right. That's true. Yeah, that's how it was set up.
So that's how it's set up. So that was a bit of an oddity, but playoffs this time, you get at least you get a game home and away, don't you?
So you're gonna get a home game, aren't you? So
yeah. So interesting times ahead. Positive. Let's say that, and let's pick up other news around town then this week. The club started to talk about the finances. Polly put out a interview this week. She covered off some of the stuff that they've been talking about in the fans forum. There wasn't a lot new, but one of the things that kind of kicked off the back of that was the price rises, and I was a little bit surprised by the level of furore about the £20 to £50, depending on which category you're in. Price rise to season tickets.
Me too.
Still offers.
I was a bit. It's like it's the price. They haven't put them up for 2 years.
Yeah.
The prices, and then their operating costs have gone up 12%. I think they said in the last couple of seasons. So you can't keep sustaining that, otherwise we're going to lose. They're going to start losing more money.
And it's a bit of a dilemma, maybe even a trilemma, in that the club as a community club recognises that people are struggling and times are tough. But we all want a good team, don't we? At the end of the day,
that's it.
And it's really hard to reconcile the fact that the owners have lost a lot of money. Well, they've lost it. They've put a lot of their own money into the club to secure it. Not least with the 1878 Jason and Andrew putting in loans to start with, then converting those loans to ownership, which, as you heard back in our episode 8, check it out if you haven't already watched it, stated was a good stabilisation for the club, and it protects them. The only way they get that money back is if they sold the club and the club was worth that money for them to be able to recoup. But they wouldn't just be able to pull loans out like in a dangerous way, which Fenty always said that he was. His loans weren't benign, but he used them as a massive lever, didn't he? When he went out.
Yes, he did.
But they've the bulk of their money in is ownership now, which is a good thing. And after as you said, the price freeze has been in place, offer a modest rise in the cost of a season ticket is not too much to ask the supporters to bear, I think, and I know it's tough, and I get for some people it's a real big issue, but the club's got to cut its cloth accordingly, just like I have, and I have a decision to make whether if I spend 450 or 430 quid on a season ticket, if it's tight and I can't afford it, then I've got to think about how I achieve it if it's that important to me.
That's it.
I might have to save something else, maybe not buy a shirt or or not have as many pints or whatever.
I say give up something if people are smoking, drinking.
If it's important to you, and like I say, it's difficult, but overall, I think 20 quid. I know again in some categories it's a little bit more, but you're still getting 5 games free. So the deal is you pay early, you get a load of games free. The downside to that is you have to pay up the money up front. The good news on the other side for the club is they get the money up front, which is good for them in the summer. But the club's just as vulnerable to cost of living issues as everyone else. They'll be wanting to make sure their people are paid reasonably well. And I don't just mean the players; I mean the people in the in the rest of the club. And then the other balance is, would the same people be upset if we at the transfer point in time when we're trying to buy players? The club saying, "Oh well, we kept prices low, so we haven't got as much money as we would have had. So therefore,
it is chicken egg.
You can't compete." It's a dilemma. Maybe one or two competing factors. In this case, it's probably a trilemma because tough times are tough in the commercial space as well. So it's difficult for them to get people in. But they've got a new commercial manager coming in as well. She announced, didn't she? So.
She did, yeah. So, but then she did say, it's the same price if we get promoted this season.
Yeah,
it's the same price in League One potentially. So they're not going to all of a sudden put the prices up.
But I don't think I don't suggest for a minute that anybody wouldn't be frustrated by a price rise. No, none of us love paying more for stuff. But it is a fact of life, and you kind of have to look at it quite pragmatically, don't you? And say, you know what, we want this to work. Therefore, I think most people have reconciled that now. I think there's always a bit of a knee-jerk response to it, but as I said, somebody the other day was quite impressed by the quote, and it actually came from Kieran Maguire, actually, but it resonated with me. Football to me is at least the most important of the unimportant things in life, and Grimsby Town won't please all the people all the time, and that is certainly true.
No. But the way we run, the club is run, it's brilliant compared to Colchester United and teams like that.
Was it 30-40 million in hot to its owners? I mean, that's not sustainable, is it? I mean, that club in the audit their latest audit, it said the actual existence of the club as a going concern was an issue.
Yeah,
now,
I mean,
they might go up to League One in the playoffs or whatever this year. If hopefully not, because it means they'll have to push somebody out, and we're the bottom one of those teams. But when you think about it, that's we want to go up, and what we're putting on the line is at the risk that Colchester United won't exist in 5 years' time.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
2 years' time or whatever.
Crazy.
What these guys are making sure is that there's a Grimsby Town here forever. And that doesn't mean we're not putting stuff on the line to try and get up, and you can see that this season. So, bear with it. And again, to quote Kieran Maguire on our episode number 8, please go and have a look if you haven't already looked at it.
Definitely look at it. It's good.
The figures for it have actually gone up. Every time there's a debate about the finances at town, I ask people to go back. And one of the things that Kieran said was, there are some arseholes running football clubs, but they're not. They're not at Grimsby Town, I can assure you of that. And that was his take on it. And he's very vocal about crap owners.
Yeah, Colchester United. Yeah, I was just looking at total losses over the years. To drop your bacon, it says on Kieran Maguire's, of 42 million.
Yeah. So there's some either rich
to drop your bacon.
Yeah, but that whoever's got that 42 million into the club as loans is not going to keep wearing that forever.
No.
And that's where the club comes in, because nobody's going to give them 42 million pounds for Colchester United. It's probably worth
That's right. It's just
2 or 3
irresponsible.
million if you're lucky, and they don't even own the ground. It's a council ground, isn't it?
Council ground, isn't it? Yeah.
So
ridiculous, honestly.
So
we're in a great place, town.
Yeah, and fans, if you're frustrated with price rises, please remember that, because they exist. We've all got to bear a bit of it, and it's some people are luckier than others with how much they can afford, but it's difficult. But please put your support of the Mariners, ahead of other trivial things in life.
I say you've just got to. How much do you want it, innit? How much do you want to go see Grimsby Town play, and how important it is in your life every week.
And
a lot of people, it is important.
Yeah, one fellow mentioned to me.
It is for us.
He said when he heard the quote about it's the most important of the unimportant things in life, said he was going to use that with his missus for the next away trip, but he suspected she'd still have an answer.
Bloody hell.
So
I think I'll get away with that.
So lots to talk about there, Steve. We've talked about the 2 games this week. We've covered off the absences of strikers and the like. Hopefully that's only going to get better, not worse. We've covered off the victory yesterday, the state of the top 7 in League 2, our current form, and the ups and downs at the top and the bottom of the table. Is there anything else to note today before we finish?
No, just looking forward to the next game next week.
Yeah, so we've got Harrogate away.
Harrogate away.
Then it's Swindon Port Vale at Easter. One home and one away.
Yes.
Then it's MK Dons away.
MK Dons away. And then Wimbledon at home. And that's it.
And that is it. Where's the season gone?
Hopefully
it's maybe not.
Maybe not.
That's it for the normal season. But we're on episode 39 now, so that is pretty impressive, considering that the season's flown and we've kept going through the season, and we've learned as we've gone. And
we have definitely learned.
Thank our listeners for sticking with us. And say the support we're receiving online is superb. So keep talking to us. Say get involved as you wish. And on that basis, I think we shall leave it there this week, Steve. And say for one last time this week, up the Mariners!
Up the Mariners!
Up the Mariners!
Come on, you mighty Mariners!
This is TNT Sports' Adam Summerton, and you're listening to 3 Fish on the Shirt.